Ah, love is in the air. It's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to you. And, of course, that means spring training is underway. It almost always is on this day of love. And good thing, we all love baseball. The DLLS Rangers Podcast starts now. Oh, we're back, baby. There's Nathan Eovaldi. How about that? Ready to go today. All these Texas Rangers are. Tyler Mahle is too. We haven't seen much of him yet, and we're anxious to do so, especially this season, but certainly for now in spring training too. Lots on Tyler Mahle coming up from Surprise, Arizona, and the news of the day on this Valentine's Day as we welcome Jeff Wilson, J-Dub, into the program. I'm Rads, John Radigan. We got the prophet over there, Elijah, getting this thing all tied together somehow inexplicably through the magic of internet technology, I guess. And Jeff, like me, you're almost always at spring training. Now, I mentioned the other day, I went to 33 in a row, and I got really bad at, honestly, coming up with and giving Valentine's Day gifts to my wife because I was never home, right? So then when I stopped going every year, like my gifts were not well received because they were quite meager. So did you take care of the lovely Mrs. Wilson? I think that's the big question.
I did not. I attempted to. I tried to find something, but everything I could get shipped in time wasn't very good. So upon my return to Texas next week, she will be showered in gifts and flowers.
Beautiful. Okay. You got to make sure you make up for it. And that's kind of what I always did too. It is harder to pull all of that off on the day before Valentine's Day, which is what I did yesterday. And you're like in the store, you're with all these other lonely, frantic, panicked men all looking for, I'll fight you for that bouquet of flowers, you know. So
right.
Anyway, happy Valentine's Day to all of you. I hope that you got everything that you wanted for and from your Valentine today. I don't know.
It's worth noting, like, John, I didn't get anything.
You didn't? See there?
Yeah, so I think she's saving up the big gift for when I return as well. So
beautiful.
It's not like I'm the only one in this couple that is good. Not delivering on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. That makes it better. And, but you've always, spring training always starts on or before Valentine's Day, doesn't it?
You know, I can remember a couple that started like February 19th, but I think those are like my first couple years on the beat. And as the season, the start of the regular season keeps getting pushed deeper into March, they have to start before Valentine's Day. So, the Mrs. Wilson is very used to this situation. We also, when I used to cover the GM meetings, those are always in November, always on her birthday.
Oh,
and usually mine. So I haven't covered the GM meetings for a few years.
Yeah,
she might have gotten tired of that.
Yeah. You really gotta make up for that one. So. All right, so what's happening out there today? I think it was a Today interview clip that I saw from Boch, and he goes, yeah, I talked to Lucky. It was the shortest I ever talked to him. Of course, Lucky is Matt Lucero, the Rangers head trainer. And he said, I've never talked to him for such a short time. I said, Lucky, you're doing this just right. Was that today, and is that the deal?
I think that might have been yesterday. He didn't say it to us at least, but Yeah, they, knock on wood, another day. Nobody on the injury report. Robert Garcia, who has the nerve irritation in his elbow, threw off a flat ground today. So he basically was pitching without a mound. That's the best way to describe that. Looked like it was coming out fine, and he wasn't just floating it out there. He had some purpose with his throws. So there's that. Chris Martin, he got the flu on the first day of camp. So he is working out on his own. As I was walking in, he was walking out, and I asked him, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, no, I got the flu. I was like, when? He goes, the first day. I was like, oh, great. And that's when we interviewed and shook your hand.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of going around here. The Rangers are encouraging fist bumps instead of handshakes. Got to stay healthy because it generally does happen. At some point during a spring training, there's a bout of illnesses, whether it's just a cold or whether it's something a little more severe like the flu. I remember my very first year on the beat. Everybody was sick coming out of camp and going to Seattle. It was a kind of a big deal. I remember Vicente Padilla was one of the starting pitchers, and he had the flu, but he pitched anyway. But these guys are in a confined space together, and if they're on the same plane together and having dinners together and all that stuff, yeah, you're going to get sick. So that's probably, if that's the worst of it, then hooray for the Rangers.
Well, and I'm pretty sure the flu is airborne. So just by talking to Chris Martin this morning, you probably got it, Jeff. I just hate to.
Well, we were outdoors, so hopefully the wind was blowing.
All right, yeah, maybe the wind took his spit away from you, his contaminants away from you. All right, so that's fine. He'll end up, convalescing, nursing himself back to health. Today, I know that Nathan Eovaldi got out there on the mound for the first time. Well, not the first. He actually did a session the day before the first day of camp, but first time you've had a chance to see him.
Yeah. His birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday to him. And he came out today and threw. He first got off a mound, he said, in early December. So he's more than ready to go. Tyler Mahle, we talked to him this morning. Pretty interesting. We're like, hey, when did you start throwing again? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? He goes, well, it's pretty soon after the season. I'm like, okay. When'd you get off the mound? How many times have you been off the mound? He's like, I don't know. He's like 10. I was like, hey, you're the one who's throwing, not us. So
yeah.
But I think the takeaway from that is that he's not monitoring his throwing. He feels great after Tommy John surgery and then a shoulder injury, which turned out to be a stress reaction in his scapula. So basically, that's a stress reaction is essentially a broken bone. I mean, it's very close to a fracture in the bone. So he couldn't do anything at the end of last year after they figured out what it was, and then his wife had a baby at the end of September, and so he was basically gone from the team for the last 2 weeks. They're like, well, you can't throw or anything. You're having a baby. Just go on home. We're fine. The Rangers finished on the road, so there was nothing really he could have done at the ballpark. He was just resting. So anyway, but all good. He's ready to go. He thinks he'll be able to carry a full workload and something he hasn't done since 22. We talked to Bruce Bochy a little bit more about how are you going to limit these guys like DeGrom and Mahle, and Boch basically said we're going to let them go. I mean, they'll get breaks. There'll be times where we have to take the ball from them, but if they tell us they're okay and they're good to pitch, then we're going to let them pitch. So I still think, though, that there's a need for multiple relievers. Chris Young said that the other day, definitely early on. So, but good news from two guys who the Rangers are counting on. I mean, Malle's in the rotation, Jacob DeGrom's in the rotation, obviously. So to have all five of them healthy, DeGrom is the only one who hasn't thrown a bullpen session, and he's going to go tomorrow. So all five are on their feet. Their arms are fine, and they're working toward the season.
Yeah, it's interesting that Boch was saying it that way, and I love it. And again, and we had, look at you drinking a beer already. Good for you. You go, boy. It's an hour earlier out there.
It is. You guys may be able to hear in the background, it's the annual college tournament. I think it's called the Sanderson Ford Surprise Classic or something like that. And Oregon State is always here. Oregon State has played in this thing for I don't know how many. I think every year it's been held, and they bring a lot of fans. I mean, they're a great program.
Yeah,
but it is a big crowd. They're playing Xavier. I don't judging by the weather reports, there's not a lot of baseball being played today in Ohio, so they're here. But anyway, the concession stands are open, and I'm doing the weekly show after this, so it's like, well, I'm not going to be able to eat lunch until about 3 or 4 o'clock. So I grabbed a hot dog, and I asked for a jumbo hot dog, but they gave me the monster hot dog, which I did not eat all of. And then I looked up at the menu because I've had a lot of water today. I wanted something with some flavor, and Coors Light, hey, 105 ounces. Well, then this lady pulls out this giant tall boy, so I'm in for 24 ounces here, and and I was in for $26. I'm not going to turn in this receipt to GM Ben. I am taking this one in the shorts. I feel bad about that one. $26 for a hot dog and a beer.
Wow. Yeah. Even in Surprise, they get you. The skipper did walk by just a few minutes ago when you were telling the flu story, and I was like, yeah, well, if Jeff gets the flu, I may be enlisting the help of the skipper. He'll go through all his old baseball cards with us again or some such. But in any event, so, yeah, I was starting to say before you distracted me and made me jealous on the beer is the fact that I like that Boch has that old school approach. We had Mensch on, as you know, the other day when you were busy doing the interviews with Boch and with CY. But and I his first impression, I said, "What do you think about Boch?" And they hadn't crossed paths. He said, "Old school, man. I just love it, old school." And I believe that what he's telling you about how they plan to handle this is old school, right? It's just like, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they're not broke. Let's keep going. And I know you have to exercise a certain amount of caution in this day and age and everything else. But when your general man or your president of baseball operations, I should say, is also old school, it helps you sort of continue down that old school path.
Yeah, Mahle, I think, has approached 200 innings in his career. DeGrom has surpassed it, though it's been a long time. That's kind of a baseline of where these guys could go, but I think they'll take a percentage of innings off of that. The Rangers, I think Kumar Rocker's in a little bit different situation because, based on, I think his college stats, as I recall, the most innings he ever threw was around the 125, 120 range. So, they're not going to hold him to 50 or 60 innings, as Chris Young told me. But there is going to be a governor on him. They're just not going to let him go out there and throw 8, 9 innings every night. They're just not going to. So, and again, it's a long season. And if these guys do have playoff aspirations, it's not an if. They expect to be in the postseason. Well, in October, you need your best guys ready to go. And if you can save bullets for Jacob deGrom and Rocker and Eovaldi, all these guys, if you can make sure that they still have something in the tank for the postseason, you're going to be in great shape. So, but if September's tight, you can't scale them back. If you have to win on the last day, you're going to throw your best guy. So there's a lot to weigh and think about and all that stuff. But the overriding sentiment here today is that the innings limits may not be as restrictive as some people may be thinking they will be.
Yeah, and I want to bring out too. Yesterday, Jock Peterson snuck by you, but today there are more position players out there, and you've proven it with video of seeing Marcus Semien in the batting cage.
Yeah, Jock is here. Josh Young showed up today. Evan Carter also showed up, though I didn't see him on the field. Marcus, of course, is here. A lot of the guys on minor league invites, Alan Trejo, Nick Ahmed, Sam Haggerty have arrived. So there are more and more guys here. I guess the notable ones who aren't here, Jake Berger being one of them, Corey Seager, of course, the most notable. Adolis Garcia not here, Leody Taveras not here, but they'll probably be here tomorrow or Sunday. I mean, the first full squad workout is Monday, and I'm going to guess that they want to hit the ground running, or maybe have a day under their belts before they have to hit the ground running. So, yeah, tomorrow will probably be another pretty newsy day as far as who shows up.
And then the guys hit the field as a full squad for the first time Sunday or Monday?
Monday. Well, whatever day the 17th is, John. Monday, I believe. And
okay.
Yeah, so they're pretty. Today they got their work in before pitchers threw. Yesterday it was after pitchers threw. They kind of get to do whatever they want. They're on their own schedule right now. The hitting coaches will be here for them regardless. So if somebody will be here to throw them batting practice, or they can get a machine out and feed it themselves if it gets that desperate. But I think that the group is definitely going to be here soon, and then it'll be spring training.
Yeah, it's good, and I'm sure that they based that work before or after a lot around tee times too. So you don't have to be there, right? You got to make sure you get that tee time in, get that golf in. So very good update from the day in spring training. We've got more to talk about as we work through this spring training edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast. We're going to talk even more about Tyler Mahle and what to expect from him. And, like I say, we haven't seen him much, but we look into his career. We look into the expectations for Tyler Mahle and lots more as we continue the DLLS Rangers podcast. First ice shaker, though. These beautiful, beautiful cups are ice shaker. Now, this one is a lovely ice shaker cup that does not have the agitator. But you hear it when I put the straw in there. It's metal, and it'll keep your drinks cold and for a long time. And it's very sturdy, and it's, you can get it. This one has got on the other side, it says IS here on the other side, there's a little cowboy star. You can get it however you want. This is the one you might want to take to the gym because it's got the agitator. And you pull off the agitator, and you see right there, that's stirring up your drink inside there, your energy drink or whatever it is you use at the gym. The metal is the key. There's no product or no anything that sticks to that metal. And it's fantastic. So it's invented by the Gronkowski brothers. It's a great product, and you'll see them all over the gyms. And as I say, you can get them adorned with your favorite team's colors. IceShaker.com. Use the code ALLCITY25 for 25% off.
I got bad news for you, John.
No sleeper?
Sleeper is not yet available in Arizona. So
we were afraid of that.
I'm going to go 10 days without making a sleeper pick. But it is available in the great state of Texas, and they have a deal for you. If you deposit $100, they will match it. They'll match anything up to $100 on your first deposit. Sleeper is the they've been and still are big time into fantasy sports, but now they've really hopped into the daily picks pool with the others out there, and they're making a name for themselves, especially in our area. It's great. You choose a series of players from games and choose whether they'll have more or less points than let's say 19.5, or rebounds, assists, doubles. My favorite. But anyway, Sleeper app, download it today. Use the code DLLS Rangers for a $100 match on your first deposit.
Beautiful. That's a good idea to do. We're going to get to the top 100 players in Major League Baseball a little. I didn't want to get into this list until it was complete, and MLB Network, wisely. I mean, they got to create content too. They slowly released the list, and they finally got to the top, And so we finally have the top 100, and any Ranger on there dropped from last year, if they were even on the list last year, and all of them are too low. And that pisses me off. So we're going to talk about that in the next segment of the program. But right now, we do want to get a little more in depth into Tyler Mahle, Jeff, and just try to decipher and determine, what to expect. Because, again, he had his time with the Reds and he had his time with the Twins. And then, the Rangers, signed him in the offseason after the World Series in 23, late in 2023, knowing they weren't going to have him at the beginning of the season, probably expecting, though, to have him a little more than they did.
Yeah, they knew, just like they knew with Scherzer and DeGrom, that they weren't going to be available for a certain chunk of the year. But yeah, when we talk about like Mahle and DeGrom, DeGrom threw less than 11 innings. I think it was 10 1/3 in the majors. Well, but that doesn't include his rehab starts and things like that. So the way Mahle explained it to us is that the total innings on all of his rehab stuff, plus the big league innings, left the doctors comfortable that he's ready to go and can go pretty much without restrictions. So it's not the end of the world that he didn't pitch the last, let's say, 5 weeks of the season. The shoulder thing checked out. He's been throwing. The dates were foggy in his mind, but he says since October he's been throwing. Been off a mound several times. Looked fine today. But this is a guy who is a strikeout guy, despite not having a ton of velocity. He has good off-speed pitches and he commands the ball. So, that's there was last offseason. There was debate, when they're talking about which pitchers they liked more, free agents out there. There are some people who wanted Tyler Mahle more than they wanted Jordan Montgomery. They liked the swing and miss a lot more. So there's that. But really, we haven't seen a ton of them. That's the thing. And he acknowledges that he hasn't pitched since early in 23. He hadn't had an offseason like this since before that season. But the key takeaway is everything's normal. And if everything's normal, you're looking at a pretty dependable guy who you can put, let's say, in the 4 or 5 spot in the rotation and feel good about.
Yeah, let's take a look at Mahle's work today. And it was the first time we saw him get an opportunity out there to throw a bullpen. And when you do see him, Jeff, I mean, again, first of all, at this time of year, the guys aren't, they're not airing it out yet. They're not, right. It's not everything they have yet.
Correct. And I usually tend to shoot them early in their bullpen sessions. So they're really not airing it out at that point. So I think the first couple you see, a couple of them were a little wonky, but that's all right.
Yeah. And for Mahle, he kind of had a breakthrough year in 2021, really. I mean, he actually got called up in 18 and then, was okay in 18 and 19. The Reds weren't very good. And then better in 20, but really broke out more so in 2021.
Yeah, that's a Reds year. Always a sneaky good division. The Cardinals and the Cubs are usually there who are good, and the Brewers have been good. So, pretty good competition he was seeing. And again, it's the strikeouts that kind of stand out. So, you know that there's some movement with those pitches when you look at the velocity and stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, it really kind of, I think it made him a trade target the next year. And then, he was dealing with the Twins over that first month of the season before he got hurt. So you hope he can pick up where he left off. He's making $16.5 million. So he's going to be in the rotation. And you hope that it's good. I think when the Rangers signed him last year, it was like a 2-year, $21 million deal, 21.5. They were looking at it as a 1-year deal for this season. So, And every GM in baseball loves a 1-year deal. That's not to say he won't be back next year. He certainly could be, and if he pitches very well, I'm assuming the Rangers will want him back. But he's a good guy. He fits right in, with the two little kids. His family was there today watching him pitch, and Dane Dunning, his wife and mother, father, and son were there to watch him pitch. So that just kind of shows you what a fit he is into the mix that Chris Young likes as far as guys and chemistry and all of that. But we want to see it. I keep saying I'm most excited about Jacob deGrom. Well, I haven't seen a ton of Tyler Mahle either. So let's get him out and see what it looks like. And if it's not any good, the Rangers will adjust. They have some starters behind them, so we'll see. But kind of this is what I don't know a lot about, to be honest. I just know that he was well liked by the organization, and they think he's going to have a really good year for him.
Yeah, and did I read somewhere, Jeff, and I don't know if you know this, I hate to put you on the spot, does he have some somewhat achievable goal that will accelerate his money that could theoretically still put the Rangers over the threshold of that luxury tax?
I'm not sure how incentive bonuses are weighed. I thought for a long time that they went onto the next year's payroll. I don't know that for sure, obviously, but I really thought that I remember hearing John Daniels tell me that because they're not paid out till after the season. So I'm not sure. I really don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if there are incentives. All these guys, Juan Soto, who's getting $765 million, has incentives in his contract. So I'm sure all these guys do in some degree. And without seeing the contract or the story that you're referencing, John, I would imagine they're performance-based incentives. If he throws 125 innings, or and every 20 innings after that, it ratchets up another 100,000. I don't know, but that wouldn't surprise me if that were the case.
Yeah, and so, but again, right now, and it's hard to say. Right now, though, he fits nicely into possibly a 3-spot, a 4-spot in that rotation, which does seem, as you're suggesting, like a pretty good space, space in the world of rotations for him.
Yeah, and this isn't like baseball rotation's not like a thing that's in my mind is a college tennis tournament where you have the ones play the ones and the twos play the twos, and the sixes play the sixes. Well, with all these off days that these guys have, the rotation doesn't stay in order more than a week, really. Before there's an off day, and all of a sudden, the Rangers' number 3 starter is facing the Reds' number 5 starter, or something like that. But the fact of the matter is, the Rangers have a pretty deep rotation, and it's not just that they have a lot of starters; it's quality depth. And so that's going to give them advantage when they do run into a guy who maybe is a rookie making his 3rd career start, and he's going up against Tyler Mahle, who is the seasoned guy and it's probably pitching well. So it's I don't think it to call a guy the number 5 starter, or to say he's only going to be a number 5 starter like these prospect projections tend to do. A number 5 starter might be a really good starter for some teams. Is he going to be a number 5 starter for the White Sox, or is he going to be a number 5 starter for the Yankees? So that obviously he's not going to be Garrett Cole if you're talking about the Yankees' 5th starter, but he's probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's look at a couple of the questions here. One, I thought deGrom was supposed to throw a bullpen today, Tate asks about. And, is he okay? Which, again, yesterday, Jeff, we talked about when a pitcher's out there and he's not, doing the things he's supposed to be doing, we worry. No, he actually, we somehow got wires crossed. He's supposed to go tomorrow, as it turns out. Yeah?
Yeah, he's fine. He went through PFPs today. He shaved, so his beard and goatee that he was sporting are gone. We had a good conversation about razors today, and shaving. So that was a good conversation. I mean, this guy, like I said yesterday, there's nobody in camp who's in a better mood than Jacob deGrom. And so I'm looking forward to seeing it tomorrow. And another thing that came out today that I didn't cover in the first segment, John, is that Nathan Eovaldi is going to start the spring opener next Friday, and Tyler Mahle is going to pitch the second game. And if DeGrom goes tomorrow, I would peg him for maybe the fourth game, because Dunning could also start the third game because he threw today. So anyway, there's a lot of movements. But hey, one other way to regulate DeGrom's innings is to have him pitch a little later in spring, and maybe not have him start opening day. Maybe have him start the fourth game. Just saving a few more days, a little more rest. So I don't know. That'll be determined probably at the end of March. I think I missed it last year. I think they announced it about a week before the end of camp. So we'll see. But Jacob deGrom is fine. Believe me, he is fine.
Yeah.
I saw him throw today. He played catch and threw off a flat ground and was absolutely humming the ball in there. Yeah.
Excellent. That's the only thing we're concerned about right now. And yeah, we know this. Anything that the Rangers do with him in those regards, like holding him out later in spring training, or if they did wait and let him start the fourth game of the year, whichever, those are all strategic decisions that are made. They're not based on his ability, which was greatly underrated on the top 100, which is where we're going next on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
You know what? This is I don't want to rub this in on you guys at home, but it's getting to be rugged road weather out here. It really is. The wind's kind of whipping today, but I didn't wear my jacket outdoors. I mean, I wore this, but I have another jacket. It's nice, and it's only going to get nicer next week. Apparently, the highs are going to be the 80s here. So, if you're itching, want to come out here and do something with a cooler, a picnic, or whatever, Rugged Road, they're our outdoors companion. It's durable, lightweight, floatable coolers that look good, keep your stuff cold. And if you go to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use the code DLLS, you get 10% off your first order.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and we encourage you to get you a Rugged Road cooler. Now, I encourage you also to go to foco.com and get loaded up with baseball gear. It's that time of year, and Foco's got everything you could possibly want. And so you go there, and obviously it doesn't have to be baseball. They have every sport, they have every team, and they're all represented, and they have the most unique items you can see, including knickknacks, the likes of which you'll see behind us on both of the sets that we operate from here at the DLLS Sports Studios. So there are so many really cool things that you could get off of Foco. It's sort of a one-stop shop for all things sports related and all things that let you show how much you care for and love your team. So simply go to foco.com and use the code DLLS. If you do that, you'll get 10% off any of those fantastic items that are available. It's foco.com. DLLS is the code. So a couple quick things, Jeff. One, I don't think I've heard it yet, but a couple of people in the chat, maybe Misty being one of them, I can't tell, wondering what's that screeching noise in the background. Have you heard a screech?
I mean, I've heard fighter jets going overhead.
Okay. All right, maybe that was it. Maybe that was it, Misty. I'm not sure.
Jets.
I didn't notice it. Yeah, now yesterday when the fighter jets went over, it was unmistakable. But I didn't notice him today. But that may be what that was.
One just went past us. But also, if they missed the start of the show, there's a college baseball game being played.
Yes, that's right.
Now.
So that's happening right now, even as we speak.
Oregon State's going pretty good here, and the crowd's into it. And then randomly, earlier in the show, somebody opened this door to this.
I did. I wondered that, and I knew you told me that you're in a suite. I wonder if the suite owner's like, "Oh, I love Oregon State. Let me go use my suite." Of course, if it was the owner, he'd be tossing you out. So
he might be.
Yeah, it was probably somebody from the city of Surprise that was gonna, snake the suite for the day, and then went, "Oh man, somebody's using it," and figured you must be very important, which of course you are.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So
100%.
This damn list, and MLB Network's done a great job. I don't know if maybe they took 100 days, maybe not that long, but every day. Okay, number 100 today. Here's number 99. I thought we were going through the bottles of beer on the wall, and they finally got to the top, which everybody knew who would be at the top, and it was Shohei Ohtani, of course. Aaron Judge was 2. Bobby Witt Jr. was 3. You can find the list very easily at MLB.com. But here's the thing, and it's, I think, overall a relatively good list, except I think there are 4 shortstops, Jeff, ahead of Corey Seager. And they're young. It's a young man's position. Okay, fine, whatever. Corey Seager's at 17. Last year, Corey Seager was at 6. I get that the team wasn't great last year. But if we're talking about a player, how does that guy, who did not have that bad a year, drop 11 spots from 6 to 17 on the list of the best players in the game? And by the way, I still think he's got an MVP season in him, which means you're the best player.
Right. Yeah, I looked at the list, and that was a big deal last year. He was number 6. I guess the injury thing is the problem. He didn't bat .330. He only batted like 270, maybe 280 last year. He did hit 30 home runs for a 3rd straight year. So I don't know what their problem is. Bobby Witt, great player. Francisco Lindor, great player. I don't know that I'd put Gunnar Henderson ahead of Corey Seager just yet. So I'm not sure. But those lists are created for exactly what's happening right now. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
We're giving MLB.com and MLB Network some pub, and they're probably not watching, but if they were, they'd be eating it up.
You know what? They've got people. They got people watching. Because somebody wants to track, every single podcast that talks about our list, and so we're one of them. We played into their trap. So good for you. And we're not done bitching about you yet, because look, Marcus Semien admittedly had a bad year. But like in the case of Gunnar Henderson, for example, he's just one, and there's many on the list. They're betting on, right? They're ranking on sort of the potential, sort of what he will be, sort of what he can be. And so to take Marcus Semien from somewhere in the 20s all the way down to what I had, 62, come on. Marcus Semien's, I mean, there's only the, and I always look at this too, and this is another thing that's got me hot. So the Astros have 4 players above Marcus Semien, and obviously, I think only 1 above Corey. But they've got 3 in the top. 4 in the top 50. The Rangers only have 1 in the top 50. It's wrong. 62 is way too low.
I don't know if I could name the Astros.
Well, Jordan 7.
Altuve.
Altuve's. I think Altuve's actually next at 30.
Okay.
And then
I don't know.
Framber.
Okay.
Might be 42. And then Christian Walker is somewhere in the 40s. I
don't like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. And
Yeah.
especially not for him to be that far ahead of, or any far ahead of Marcus Semien. So, like I say, Simi was, I think, like 21 or something last year, and he falls all the way to 62. And again, sometimes it seems like they base these choices on performance from a year ago, but sometimes it seems like they base them on, what we think this guy has in him. And that's not even, I haven't even gotten mad yet. Now, Wyatt Langford cracks the top 100. This might be the one that makes me the most happy, right? Because, again, he probably did not have a season last year that would suggest he's a top 100 player, but he did have a month where he was the best player in the American League. So obviously that will open some eyeballs, and it did, and it got him into the top 100 at 97, Jeff. And so good for Wyatt. And he'll probably, I think, here eventually in the next couple of years, he'll get back up in there into at least that top 20, if not maybe top 10.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who are really bullish on this guy, and with good reason. He can do everything. He can run, he can hit for power. So hit for average, I know batted 253, 254 last year. Now that he has this base of knowledge that he just didn't have it this time a year ago, and really, I remember talking to someone with the Rangers who the Pirates are coming to town, and that was in August, and Wyatt Langford was still seeing pitchers for the very first time in his career, and would be at a disadvantage. So that's not going to be the case nearly as much this season. When he faces the I don't know, the Cubs or the Reds, a National League team that you only see once a year. He probably didn't see all of their starters and all of their pitchers. So maybe at that point he'll have a little disadvantage, and playing in ballparks where he didn't get to play last year could be a disadvantage defensively. But we're talking about a guy who's just a really talented guy who works really, really hard, and who's not in spring training yet. His wife is a softball player at Mercer University in Georgia, and so he was going to try to spend as much time with her as possible because she can't come out here. So I expect, though, that he's probably hopping on a plane today. I hear the weather's been bad in Atlanta, though, or in the state of Georgia. So hopefully he's not delayed much. But I could anticipate very easily see Wyatt Langford being in the top 10 someday. I mean, this is a guy who's that talented.
Yeah, and just think of how good those Langford kids will be with a glove and a ball and a bat in their hand, right? Boy or girl, they're going to be good baseball, softball players. Those kids,
right? Same thing with Cody Bradford. His wife played at softball at Baylor as well.
Oh, is that right? Oh, good. Yeah, that's great. We'll have to have a battle between the Langfords and the Bradford kids as they grow older. All right, and then the one that just makes me cringe. How in the hell, don't even put Jacob deGrom on the list if you're going to put him at 99. It's like, here, we're throwing you a bone, Jacob. We'll make you in the top one. Are you kidding me? He's the best pitcher in the game if he's healthy. So you either put him high or you don't put him on the list because it's an incomplete or whatever that you get on your report card. 99. Yeah. There's no world in which Jacob deGrom is 99th on that list.
When he's healthy, no, you're 100% right. When you're healthy, he's in the top 10. Depending on what value you put on starting pitching, if he's the best starting pitcher, then he needs to be in the highest ranked starting pitcher, whoever that was. Maybe it was Skubal. I don't recall from looking at the list.
Yeah, let me look. I don't know.
This guy is when he's talented or when he's healthy, there's nobody better. I asked around today a bunch of guys and yesterday, and they're like me. They can't wait, and they get to see Jacob deGrom, from the dugout. They get to see him in the clubhouse. They get to go watch his bullpens. They're looking forward to everything Jacob deGrom this season, and the expectation is he's going to be healthy. Of course, he's had trouble avoiding all kinds of injuries, but until he is hurt, or if he does, if he doesn't, whatever. The guy's great when he pitches. Bottom line.
Tarek Skubal's the highest rated pitcher at 11. And then I heard the bell, Prophet. We'll get to it. Paul Skeens. Again, there's a guy. We're doing it totally on what he might be. Paul Skeens is the second highest ranked pitcher at 15. And then Zach Wheeler at 19 and Chris Sale at 20. There's your top 4 pitchers, all apparently better than Jacob deGrom. Come on, MLB. You're better than that. Batting cleanup coming next. DLLS Rangers Podcast. Oh, I'm wearing the colors today. Hey, and Jeff, you see, I still got the shack. You got one too. I like that one so much. I still got to wear the shacket, and truly on this. Today's not so bad. We got a day coming, and you're not back yet. You're lucky. We got a day coming Wednesday where my phone says there's a 55% chance of snow, and the low that night is going to be 18 degrees. So we still need to keep warm, but we still need to represent, and so that's what I'm doing here with the. Okay. This is a great one with the skyline of Dallas on it and all that. They got great shirts. I was just on the site today. There are 2 Luka shirts on there in our basketball page, and they're on sale. And I say, and I ordered both of them today because I say that is a chance for you to sort of remind anybody who sees, like, the guy was ours until an idiot move by a general manager. So anyway, I've run over time, Jeff. You only got 50 seconds to tell him to be a diehard.
Well, I don't need that long, but I could just say, just do it. It's so worth the money, especially at $48 right now. And you get a free shirt that John was just talking about. You can get the one he has on, the one I have on, all kinds of shirts for all 4 of our teams. And again, when you're a diehard, you're not just getting access to the stories I'm writing that are paywalled. You get access to every sport we cover, and that's all the 4 big ones. And we're going to be expanding our coverage into the college ranks, and probably the wings, the WNBA, maybe FC Dallas. I mean, we have ideas. So alldlls.com. That's where you can become a diehard. Do it today, and don't forget, you get a free shirt.
Yeah, love it. That's a good idea, and there's lots of shirts to choose from. Okay, let's run through the batting cleanup segment. So I thought this was interesting. At Yankees camp, pitchers and catchers were due a couple of days ago, and Marcus Stroman was not there. Now, in the collective bargaining agreement, a player does not have to report to camp until this year. It is February 22nd. The other report dates for both pitchers, catchers, and position players are generally before that, and they're somewhat voluntary, although teams do not consider them voluntary. But for example, as a quick note, Nolan Ryan, when he was with the Rangers, always exercised that date that was later in camp. They knew he'd be ready, and he knew he'd be ready, and he wanted to spend as much time with his family and lengthen his off season as much as he could. Okay, so Marcus Stroman appeared to be doing that. As it turns out, he shows up today. He's basically 6th in order of the Yankees pitchers right now, and his first words were, "I'm not a bullpen guy. I'll be a starting pitcher," which I thought is a pretty. I can't tell if that's confidence or contentiousness, Jeff.
Sounds like contentiousness. I don't know that Marcus Stroman's ever been known as a great teammate.
Yeah, I think so too.
Coming up early in his career, he was suspended for steroid use and was always squawking with the Blue Jays. I remember when the series when the Rangers and the Blue Jays got heated, and he was piping up then. But there's some ego involved, I'm guessing. Maybe a silent protest not being there on time, but be better. Be
Yeah.
be better. Don't put yourself in this position where, God forbid somebody doesn't think you're good enough to be in their rotation. Like I
Yeah.
was saying, the
Right.
Yankees' number 5 starters probably pretty good. So go out there and do it. Shut your mouth. Show up. Work hard. I can assure you that if it's a dead heat, him and whoever the number 5 starter is, this will be held against him. This absolutely positively will be held against him. Being a little jerk like this.
Yeah. Shut up and pitch. So, and by the way, speaking of getting heated, which I did about the list, and somebody in the chat, and I appreciate you, said, yeah, these spring training lists are silly anyway. Don't pay attention to it. I know. You're right. I have to. I mean, there it is. Yeah. Spring training lists are the worst. Just ignore them. I wish I could. It dominates my timeline. And so, then it gets me fired up. Speaking of the timeline, yesterday I see a tweet or something, and it's got a picture of Joey Gallo, and I think up top it says signed, and he's in a Texas Rangers uniform. And I'm like, whoa! And then, of course, it said he signed with the White Sox. But and he's played for about 6 teams since he was a Ranger. I don't know why they used him in a Rangers uniform. But my first thought was, look, at this stage in his career, 31-year-old Joey Gallo, I think it'd be cool to give him a shot here. But it's also cool that he's got a place to go. And really, with Chicago, Jeff, probably has a pretty decent shot of cracking there.
You'd think. I love Joey Gallo as a person. I was really on board with him as a player right up to the minute he was traded, and even after the trade, I thought the Yankees were going to get a really good player. The trade, though, Joey took it hard. He did not want to be traded. They had talked about signing an extension before the deadline, and Joey unfortunately said, "I don't want Mookie Betts money. I'm not gonna break the bank here." Well, the Rangers apparently gave him an offer that was not Mookie Betts money, and he and Scott Boras turned it down. I just think that he was comfortable here. Everybody understood who and what he was. And I don't think he's been able to find anyone who can defend the high strikeouts, the lack of contact, and all of that. I thought I would have loved to have seen Donnie Eckert work with Joey Gallo.
Yeah.
Donnie, who and Tim Myers too, and now Justin Veely, who I met today. Biomechanics and all that stuff. Well, you're talking about a guy in Gallo who is 6'5", right? He has really long levers. There's holes in that swing. I just wonder if these guys, and I'm sure other clubs have looked at the biomechanics of it too, but just kind of could they have found a solution? And I don't know that there is one, but I know this: Joey Gallo plays the game hard. He's a very good defensive player, and when he makes contact, it's going to go a long way, right? It's too infrequent, but he'll also get walked. Right before, this is a guy who's a 2-time All-Star. Right before he was traded, he was doing that year he had bumped his average up to as high as 290, I believe. So it's a guy who it's in him. It's just nobody's been able to bring it out of him.
Yeah, I know, and I'm like you. He was a good guy. He was fun to talk to, and a way deeper, soul and person than you might think. He kind of looks like, and you think of a power hitter like that as just me hit baseball. But he was a deep thinker and a really good guy. Still is, obviously, but he'll be over there in Chicago, and we'll hope that he's got an opportunity there, which, like we say, seems like, there's probably a pretty decent chance there because they are somewhat depleted in and talent level, and a lot of their best talent is probably still developing. So, good thoughts for Joey Gallo. Hope he has another opportunity, at least another season at the big league level. Kendall Graveman, who did not spend any time in the big leagues last year, has signed with the Diamondbacks for a year. Just a $1 million contract, 1.3, I think, something like that. But I don't want to throw that $300,000 away, Jeff. 1.3, and there's a chance, they say in Arizona, that he could figure into closing games.
He's done it at times in his career. He's been hurt with a shoulder injury. That's what cost him last year with the Astros. When he's good, he's really good. I thought the Rangers should take a flyer on him. I thought this would have been a good, affordable deal. The veteran guy with some late inning experience. Not sure where he stands, stuff and velocity wise now. After these injuries, and the shoulder injuries are always scarier than the elbow injuries. I know Tommy John's a big deal, but nobody likes to have a shoulder injury. All right, so that's an interesting one, and it wouldn't surprise me, if he ended up working closing for the Diamondbacks. They have a bunch of young big arms, but they're young big arms, so they still have some work to do.
Yeah, I know it, and I thought the same thing when I saw the money he signed for. I thought, man, and again, we know, you and I both know, the Rangers scout everybody. They have a thought about everybody. They have an opinion about everybody. So I'm sure that name came up at some point in discussions in the Rangers front office, and for whatever reason, they decided to not take the $1.3 million flyer. But a guy like that seems like a pretty good candidate when you are trying, and basically everybody they've got is a veteran at various stages of their veteranship, but that all of them have less closing experience than Kendall Graveman.
Yeah, the Rangers saw last year a 1 year, $4.5 million deal turned into an all-star closer for them, who then turned it into a $13 million deal with the Dodgers. There's value out there. I still anticipate the Rangers signing players, even though pitchers and catchers have already started. There's just a good list of guys who are unsigned. It's too good of a list for them to be unsigned. And if it comes down to it being a minor league deal, or if it's a major league deal, the Rangers just really like him at the price point that he's willing, that the Rangers are willing to give him. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that were to happen. Not at all.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at the new Angels, the LA Angels of Anaheim. Let's look at their City Connect uniform. Oh wait, maybe that's not really their City Connect uniforms. Can they do that, Jeff? Can they wrap Mike Trout in bubble wrap?
I hope so. This guy's a all-time great, and you want to see him go out with some great years. He's still young, relatively young. He still has a lot of years left on that contract, so you want to see it fulfilled. I mean, the game of baseball is better when Mike Trout is a great player. The Angels. Maybe he can put all of his injury demons onto Anthony Rendon, or maybe he already did. Maybe that's why Rendon had to have hip surgery. I think though that if Mike Trout's healthy, the Angels will be better. They're not going to be a contender, but the game of baseball is better. Their games will be more competitive. Things like that. So I am rooting for Mike Trout to not have to be in bubble wrap this season.
Yeah, and we've said it here, and seems like maybe somebody from the Rangers compared body types. Wyatt Langford, is kind of cut from that Mike Trout mold, right? Body type wise.
Yeah. They have giant, big quads, big thighs. Their trunks are big. Trout has broader shoulders.
Yeah.
but it's not like Langford's just only does leg day at the gym. I mean, he's pretty powerful guy up top too. So there are similarities there. It's a comparison that's been made even last spring. Like, man, look at this guy. Those legs. It looks like Mike Trout out there.
Well, fantastic, Jeff. Great first week. I know we'll be off. The show will be off the next 2 days. I know you won't be. You'll be out there taking care of business. You'll be writing. You'll be sending stuff back for social media. So keep up the good work. Enjoy your time in Arizona. And we'll do this again on Monday at 2. It'll be another edition of the DLLS Rangers Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.